again. Let's have a little bet going on how long it'll take. No, let's not do that. I'm saying, though, 30 seconds. Let's see. Okay, so we have a few questions here already, a few people here waiting. So much fun to end the day like this. It's really, really good putting things together with some discussion. 25 seconds. Hey, I was right. Did I say 25? I think I said 25 and I'm live. I said 30? Well, I thought I said 25. Either way, I'm live. It's the Nazarite, bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. It's good to be here. James Bong is here. Radar Shadow is here. Taylor 26 is here. And okay, let's launch in. So there's yesterday, right? There's the end of yesterday's chat questions that I want to get to. And then, I guess I'll go back and forth. I don't know. But you know what? You guys are here. Let's start with some questions here. All right. So James Bong says, Shalom, thank you, all good here. Hope all is well on the other side of the screen. Be'ezrat Hashem or Baruch Hashem, right? With the help of God, or blessed be God. And yes, things are all well here. If I can be here at 10 p.m. in my home, alive and well and healthy, it means that everything's okay. And I'm so grateful, and I don't take it for granted, not for a split second, maybe for a split second, but certainly not right now, live here with you from Jerusalem. So yes, everything is okay on this side of the screen. I'm happy to report. Radar Shadow asks, who has been the most inspiring figure in your journey here on Earth? Well, dead or alive? You mean somebody I've met personally? You need to let me know, because that will narrow or widen it, as the case may be. Well, I'll get back to you then once you... how's Pinky? Pinky is doing very well. She just had indigestion for a day, and now she's doing great, thank God. She had her regular diet this evening, and all is well, right, Pink? She's over there.
Hey.
Pinky's over there.
Said you were...
No, I'm not pointing at you. Okay, wow, so Pinky's doing very well. Wait, so Taylor says, how long do you think it will take for Israel to defeat Iran? Well, if we're going to grant that you're saying in the event of an attack, how long will it take? I don't know anything about military strategy or application. I know my part, and that's that. And how long will it take Israel to defeat Iran? I have no idea. Conventional weapons, non-conventional weapons. It's a large array of things that are at Israel's disposal, I believe, or people would have me believe. I have no idea. I don't know. It's not a future I want to envision, but if we're talking about defeating Iran, I don't know. It could be done in a matter of a day, an hour, a week. I have no idea, because supposing in that case that we're not sending in ground troops and that it's all airstrikes or long range, intercontinental, whatever, though no continent, but you know what I mean, long range missiles. So I don't know. What do you think, people? How long would it take Israel to defeat Iran if it came to that? I understand. Yes. Now, okay, wait, so Radar, I'm still waiting for your answer on whether you're talking about inspiring figure on your journey here on Earth, dead or alive, right? That figure. I seen the short with her has almost 500 views. Well, dogs garner attention. Let's see if there are any chats in the questions area. Any questions, No, nothing yet. That's cool. Oh, wait. Can we see Pinky? Well, yes, you can. Hello, Pinky. Yes, she is. Okay, and here I am, but a little crooked. Okay, I'm back. So yes, you can see Pinky. There she is. All right, let's see. Mitzarim Nazarite, good to have you here. Bernard, hello. Howdy, Hebrew Nazarite and everyone just popping in during break at work. Well, okay, don't let me take up too much of your time. There's work to be done. Now, you grow, I know you grow things, right? Not crops, but is it fruits and is it fruit? It escapes my mind, but is that a hobby? Is that what you do? Are you a man of the land, an agricultural man? Do let me know. So Radar Shadow said either, I'm assuming, meaning whether I should go for this or that. Bernard, hey there, can you help me lose weight? I currently weigh 643 pounds. Unfortunately, I am not in your body, so I can't help you physically lose the weight. And I've been blessed, truly, with great genes. In certain things in life, I feel screwed up. But thankfully, genetically, and because I like to stay active, weight was never an issue for me personally, and so I don't know the nature of the struggle. Because, my most, if not all, of my failures and my wrongdoings, places where I've gone astray, they do manifest, let's say, in the hands and on the face. But generally speaking, if you can't read the palm or the face, it can be difficult with someone like me, let's say, to see your inadequacies. But with somebody who is very heavy, large, fat, big, whatever you want to call it, regardless of the aesthetics, beautiful, not beautiful, attractive, not attractive, it's something which is out there on display all the time. I wouldn't even begin to know, my wrongdoings, my transgressions, my sins, the times where I miss the mark, consciously, unconsciously, if you will, if there is such a thing. I guess that wouldn't be. Pardon? But it's something that's inside. Now, I choose sometimes to share because I am a sinner. I miss the mark all the time. All the time. And I never do it to anger God, I want to put it that way, right? The divine revelation, just because I'm human and I fail and those are all excuses and I need to do better. But it's not out there on display. And I kind of hope it never will be. But somebody who weighs 643 pounds, if that be the case, if this is in fact Bernard, the username, and on the other side of that screen, there's a user who weighs 643 pounds, unfortunately, any advice that I would give would be very mainstream, and I would need to know a lot more about you. It would have to be an almost, I'd have to know you pretty well, I think. Because ordinarily, unless it's like a disease, it's more of a symptom than an actual, yes, obesity is a disease, and what I'm saying is the cause, the root cause. It's something that I don't know anything about. So my apologies. Maybe if I knew a bit more about you, feel free to hit me up, Bernard or anybody else, in the DMs. Hebrew Nazarite, across the board, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. What else am I on? Well, it's X now, right? And Instagram, Hebrew Nazarite. I don't use them much, but I DM in them plenty. So maybe message me, Bernard. We'll hash it out. I'm a stranger, and there's no judgment. And if you are interested in losing the weight, I'll be to the degree that I can be, I'll be your weight loss buddy. We can do it together. You lose weight, in your body, if you will, and I'll lose weight up here and over here with my ego and my pride. And I don't mean that, I'm not being flippant about it. I'm being serious. We could do this. Okay. Vegetable and herb garden and a few fruit trees and berry bushes. Oh, okay, so that's the extent of it. I don't know if I knew this or that. I didn't know the extent of it. That's great. It keeps you busy. Throughout the seasons, things that are perennial, things that are seasonal. Do you every now and then overhaul the entire thing, brand new, so to speak, if only patch by patch or tree by tree? Or do you grow the same things for a long time now? How long has it been? You probably told me, forgive me, I don't remember. Do you have Twitter? Why and why not? I think I will delete mine finally. So like I said, Taylor, I have different social media platforms. I don't post much. I usually engage in DMs. I was a little bit active on Facebook. My last post on Facebook, I've maybe commented and liked on things, but my last post on my page is October 6th. There are certain things that ever since the attack and the massacre of October 7th and the war, there are certain things that I haven't done. For instance, there are two songs that I love playing before the Sabbath on Friday afternoon while we're cleaning, while we're preparing things, and I don't know what. Two songs that I love to hear, and I haven't listened to them since October 7th was Simchat Torah, the 8th day of assembly, the end of Sukkot. It's a separate holiday, technically speaking, but it's the end of Sukkot, the Feast of Booth, the Feast of Tabernacles. And there are certain other things that I stopped doing. So I am available on those social media platforms. DM me. I love to chat when I can, work and family and stuff, but I love engaging with people. And it also helps me. So let's do it. I'm on board. James Bong says, a good regimented diet. I'm inclined to agree, like I said. I would give very mainstream advice, which might be useless in this person's case, right? In Bernard's case, it might be useless because it's not a mainstream case. And so he or she would have heard 1,000 times, they would have heard diet and exercise, diet and exercise. It won't do any good for me to say it again. And like I said, it would be mainstream. We are cheering for you, Bernard, says James Bong. Indeed, we are. It is so difficult to lose weight. For me, it's difficult to gain weight. Yes, but you're not in your 40s. And I am, so it's a different scenario. Robert Harrison says, hit the like button, people, for Pinky Winky. I appreciate every like and every sub, every view, every tiny little excursion from the real world into this digital group that you people engage in, right, that you carry out. Taylor 26, do you do a lot of meditation? Know much about transcendental meditation by Maharishi? I meditate in the sense that I consider my hitbodedut, my spontaneous prayer, ongoing, to be a form of meditation. Silent meditation I engage in, but even then it's not very silent. I'm usually speaking. The silences usually punctuate the speaking. Let's put it that way. And I've done silent meditation, just eyes closed and not focusing on anything that, you know the type, right? When you're just looking and watching yourself and thoughts come in and out and you don't engage with them, you let them pass. And you get to look at yourself a little bit from an outsider's perspective. It has a name, it escapes me right now. Contemplative? No, I won't butcher it. But I am a fan of meditation, whether it's silent or spoken, whether it's a mantra or spontaneous prayer or complete silence. Zazen, right? Zazen meditation is just the quiet, right? Just the silent meditation, very pure, very simple. There is... I love you too, my love. There is transcendental meditation, which I know nothing about. I know what Seinfeld said because he did it for years. Maybe he currently still does, Jerry Seinfeld. And he said once when he went out on the stage in a transcendental, in a TM thing, not in a stand-up. And he said, just looking around this room, I can see among you who does TM and who doesn't. That stuck with me. That stuck with me. Now, it's a method, if I'm not mistaken, and people are trained in it, they are certified in it, and then they can teach others, and others cannot. Is that the case, if I'm not mistaken? My goal weight is to get to 550. That's a good goal to start with, because a tangible goal is always the best as part of a larger goal, but a tangible one to aim for, to shoot for, that you could actually achieve, and it won't be 5 years. That's a good goal. To get to 550 is a great first goal. I really, truly hope you're able to do it. Really. From testimonials I've heard, it'll change your life. So do it. Law Gats. Hello. Wait, Law Gals. Not Gats, Gals. Law Gals. Is this a law firm that employs entirely women? The lawyers, the paralegals, the secretaries, janitors, custodians. Please let it be that. I know it's discriminatory, and just let it be that. I'm sub a higher pitch. A higher pitch? Not sure what that means. Could you clarify it for me, please? So, Taylor 26. Okay, so Taylor 26. What do you know about the Druze group that lives in Israel? Well, I know that they broke off to some degree from Islam. I know they serve in the army. Most of them, all of them. Plenty have died in the recent war, and many times before that in different operations and ongoing things and defending the country. And I've served with Druze in my time in the army. I did the medics course with a couple of them, and from Gdud Cherev, the sword regiment. And I've found them to be loyal in that sense, and ready to work. But regarding the religion itself, I know that it's a secretive religion where only the religious or only the higher religious rungs, maybe it's just the priestly, if there's something corresponding to the priestly sect or group or tribe, They keep the religion and the texts very... Um, hmm? They keep them secret, they keep them hidden, if I'm not mistaken, or at least that's maybe it with the internet and whatnot. It's all over the place, but likely. But I never researched it, and I did know at the time that they keep it hidden. A gal's letter, a higher pitch. Oh, I hope he sleeps. All right, I'm not getting you. Can anybody see my last comment? Robert says the tribe of Dan are the Ethiopian Jews. I can see that. Was that the last comment? If it isn't, then, rephrase it, reword it, make it compliant, and send it. Or, separate the spaces. Yes, it is thought that Beta Yisrael, also known as the Ethiopian Jewry, Ha'edah, that they are the tribe of Dan. The thing is that it might make more sense that they are from Judah. Because I'm not a historian, I'm not a learned man or a scholar, so I have nothing concrete to say about it. But I was under the impression that Dan is in India, or maybe that's Menashe, and that the Ethiopians are part of Yehuda, and not one of the 10 lost tribes, right? Because the kingdom of Judah, which currently exists, known as Judaism, right? And it consists of Judah and Benjamin and parts of Levi. So Dan would be one of the 10 lost tribes, exiled by the king of Assyria. And it's difficult to tell. Their traditions have, well, you know what? I won't speak of their traditions. I know them well enough. Do you believe in God? All right, please define how you perceive God. What is God to you? Briefly if you can. And what does believe mean to you? What does it mean to believe, and what does God mean? And then I'll be able to answer. Because if I'm going to answer that question, I need to know how you define the parameters, right, and the terms. Robert says that's in response to BMXer about the Danish. Oh, okay. Well, I figured it had to do with because I know the tribe of Dan came up. So BMXers is here. I believe in God. Awesome. But you still, if you can, give me a quick, if that's possible, and what do you mean by believe, and what do you mean by God? And then we'll see. But I'll give you this while you type your answer. My line is, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. And that's not to know God. That's to perceive revelations, right? And that's to see the external, if you will, the clothing that are on us, but not a part of us. But belief in God is a good thing by and large. It has great potential. Taylor says, is it true that there's pagans who live in Israel? Yes, plenty, I'm sure. Now, you mean people who practice witchcraft and paganism? Is that what you mean? I heard a few Israelis believe in the Canaanite gods. But this is only like 100 Israelis who believe in paganism. I would think it's more than 100. But I won't know how much more. I'm sure that there's if not thriving, like an ongoing pagan community. This place has 4 holy cities: Jerusalem, Hebron, Tiberias, and Tzfat, each representing one of the 4 elements. And well, while I'm at it, Tzfat is wind or spirit, and Yerushalayim is fire, Hebron is earth, and Tveria, with the Sea of Galilee, is water. And I know that paganism, or at least some facets of paganism, they kind of, right, if you speak of the Canaanite gods in the Canaanite pantheon, they are forces of nature, and which manifest, right? It's, let's say, I don't know the Canaanite pantheon, but I'm just saying the lower gods, forces of nature and of experience, if you will, right? The god of wine, the goddess of love, the god of war. It's experiences that we have as humans. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's see. Have you ever wondered why the Bible pointed out when Jesus left the tomb and he left the cloth faded? No, I can't say I wondered about that because I've only read the New Testament once in my life, and so I don't, I'm not versed in it by any means. All I know about the New Testament is that I could glean wisdom from it, but not faith. and that the gospel spoke to me much more than any other part of that Bible. I didn't particularly enjoy the letters, the Acts, Revelation. I don't know if you could, I mean, I wouldn't know how to relate to it because I don't know the book, and Revelation is the final one. And the point is, I did enjoy the gospel, but the rest of it did not speak to me, and I saw the deviation from the Hebrew way, from the way of Torah and commandments. I saw it occur there as I was reading the New Testament, and it didn't speak to me at all. And while I can understand certain things about Jesus being one of his, fellow Hebrew men, that is, a fellow Hebrew man, I never pondered that, I never wondered it, but let's look at it from like a fresh perspective because I don't know the New Testament. So, in the Bible, when Jesus left the tomb and he left the cloth folded, I will wonder about it, perhaps now a few seconds, and I will get back to you on that. What do you think about the Great Pyramid of Giza? I've read that ancient Egypt was really influenced by ancient Mesopotamia, which is where the Tower of Babel was built, right? Modern-day Iraq, if I'm not mistaken. Catch you all later. Shalom. I hope you had a good break. I hope it was worth it. Nitzarim, Nazarite. Thank you. Have a good one. Sweet is the sleep of the laborer, whether it's a lot or a little. Right? Like King Solomon said, to work and to have Torah. Torah ve'avodah in Hebrew. Right? Torah and labor. It really cleanses. It says that Torah is good with, let's say, manual labor or work, right? A Torah work balance is good because when you toil in both of them, you don't dwell on sin. You're simply busy. Now, I, of course, am a sinner. Still a lot to work on. But Torah ve'avodah are things that are very near and dear to me. Okay, let's see. So the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's interesting, right? So this cycle of 7,000 years, and we are now 5,784, according to the Hebrew calendar, it doesn't mean to me that the universe is billions of years old. This cycle, these numbers, are not that the universe was formed, right, 5,700 odd years ago. For me, it says that there's a cyclic nature to it. And now, according to certain traditions, we are in the second cycle of 7. Like we have the 7 days, right? 6 days of creation and 1 day of Sabbath, and we have 6 years of working with the land and 1 year where it's the land's Sabbath. Speaking of paganism, right? The number 7 means a lot, a whole lot, and I've spoken of this before. The Great Pyramid, it could very well be that it was from a society that existed in a previous cycle. In other words, we know that there are certain artifacts, carvings, structures appearing in different places in the earth that seem connected, on the earth, that seem connected. And things like the Pyramid of Giza, which they can't explain, right? The greatest minds can't quite explain how they got it that way, how it was carried out, the way that it did, with the, let's say, mindfulness behind it. It could very well be that, much like we are now, towards the end of the 6,000 millennia, that is the 6,000, right? The 6,000 years, and soon it's Shabbos, the 7,000. It's said to be a second of 7. Meaning if the first one, let's say, was 1 through 7,000, so now it would be 12,000, which means that things live and die, right? And they can decay, and we show up a long time afterwards. Certain things are still around, but we can't quite understand. I've seen different, just in passing, I've seen a cartoon or two about this. I won't, never mind. I digress. So what do I think about it? I don't know enough about it as far as the geometry is concerned, the engineering. I don't actually know what it would take. I can't grasp it. People who know a lot more than me have, and they are flummoxed. They don't quite know how it was done. Which says to me that it could very well be that in a previous cycle on the same earth, just a possibility. I'm not saying this exactly happened, but it's just a thought that it was in a previous cycle. Let's continue. my weight goal? Well, you said that, Bernard, so it's 550. And I said, good for you. Now, I hope you have a more long-term goal. Do you have a long-term goal other than the 550? Where does it go from there? Logals, now, I'm sorry, the higher pitch, I'm going to go back to that comment because I don't know. A higher pitch, my gal's letter, a higher pitch. Can somebody please enlighten me? What does that mean? So I'm going to butcher it. Logals says, because when a master finished eating and leaves a folded cloth on the table, the servant cleans the whole table except the cloth. The servant leaves the cloth, which means the master is coming back. The master's finished eating the table, except for the cloth, meaning the master is coming back. That's a nice way of looking at it. Speedrunner, hello. Nice to see you. Good to have you here with us. Taylor 26. Raphael Biamar, is it Mauer or Maur or Mayur? But Raphael is one of the archangels, however you pronounce it. There are several of them. 5. Okay, let's see. So, hey, I greeted you. How are you doing? Tell me about your day. Where are you at? Is it morning, noon, night? Are you tired? Did you have a good breakfast? What's going on? Didn't the Zohar predict 1648 AD was the year of Messiah's arrival? No, there is no book that predicts in a way that we can or should decipher. Meaning in the Talmud it says that those who try to calculate the end, may their spirit expire. May the spirit leave them. In other words, may they die. You can look at it in a couple of ways. It's generally thought that you're not supposed to calculate when the end is coming. You ought to live your life as if it could end at any time, because it actually can for you as a physical being, right, and a finite creature. That part of it can end for you. And part of what Torah and commandments is to choose life. And that's what Moses tells them. I give you death, I give you life, a blessing and a curse. My advice to you, children of Israel, is choose life. So, to calculate the end, it's just something we're not meant to do. You're supposed to live your life. Again, long-term goals, to be sure, but don't calculate the end of things. Okay. I hope, right, as for Zohar predictions, the Zohar, they say, is closed with 1,000 keys. The idea is that it speaks... Do you mind, my man? My man? Who is that? Wait, what do you mean? Who is that? He's asleep, he's sick.
That's what I told him.
No. Excuse me, do not go up there. Say good night, Adon Cohen. Daniel is sick. צר לי. לא, אני לא מעיר אותו. לא.
זה אוריה עדיין.
לילה טוב, אדון כהן. Sorry about this. Family, right? Okay, let's see. Okay, so, right, Zohar predictions closed with 1,000 keys. Sorry about that. The predicting the end is not okay because we're not meant to do it. And the Zohar as an external teaching, as an oral Torah, and as one where it doesn't speak to people in the same way. The Zohar is a kind of thing where, depending on your level, you can understand it in a certain way. You can open up this door, but not another door. People understand it differently. There are many different interpretations of the Zohar. Well, not many, actually. Or maybe there are many. I'm not versed in it, but let's say there are many different interpretations. The book of the Zohar itself has the Tikkunei Zohar. It's basically 70 separate teachings that overlap, but 70 separate teachings on the first verse of Genesis, of Bereshit bara Elohim ta shamayim ve'et haaretz. The Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, a Spanish Kabbalist and poet and playwright, whose books were banned at first, he composed his own sort of tikkunim, his own book on the final chapter, on the final verse. And there are so many ways to go into it, and different schools on interpreting the Zohar and what it means, the Lurianic Kabbalah, the previous, more ancient Kabbalah. So the Zohar is not something I can speak of. To say that it predicted it, I'm inclined to say no. The Zohar does not make predictions. It can, at times, say, in the end of days, this and this and this will happen. But the language of the Zohar, like the Torah, it's written in the tongues of men, but it all speaks of divine revelations. If it says in the Zohar that Rebbe such and Rebbe such and such were walking to the mountains of darkness or walking in the desert, it can mean that they physically did it, if you want to see it that way, but all of it has meaning. It's so nuanced. But I'm fairly certain that the Zohar wouldn't make that prediction in the sense of it's going to happen, that's when, that's how. It would be, if we're talking about it practically speaking, and not in the tree of life, and not in the sphirot, and not in the divine emanations or revelations, but here practically, as it is on the ground, it's a possible prediction. That's all I can say about it. And plus, I don't know enough Zohar to say, oh yes, it was in this context and that context, and so it means this and that. Another Jew was telling me that the Zohar was really predicting 2026 AD as the Messiah's arrival. You know, it says it was at the Talmud, yeah, it says in the Talmud, I think it was Rabbi Yosei, he was in the shuk, he was in the market, and he met Elijah. He had an apparition, if you will, a revelation of Elijah, who didn't die. Switched roles, switched jobs, but didn't die. He carries on that covenant. And he said, you know, when is Ben David arriving? He asked Elijah, because Elijah is supposed to precede the coming of the king, the return of the king. And he asked, when are you coming, Eliyahu? And he said, Hayom im bekolot ishma'u, quoting the Psalms, today, if to his voice you listen. It's completely up to us to redeem ourselves. It's completely up to us, each in our own personal thing, to do what we can to usher in that arrival of the king. Okay. So that's what I'm sorry I couldn't be more helpful. Okay, let's continue. Night. Good night, good night, good night. Kreta. Kreta, I don't know what that means. BMXers retracted something. And Robert said, Daniel 9 predicts the actual coming of Messiah. Yes, so it's said. Read on your free time, hit me back in the comments. No, I've read it. I've delved into it, not as deep as others perhaps, but I have. It predicts a time, right? And you, Daniel, go rest and, and rise to your destiny at the end. It says Ketzayamin, if I'm not mistaken, and not Ketzayamim, and those are different things. The mem and the nun there have the final mem and the final nun. They mean different things in that context. But again, Daniel 9 predicts the coming of Messiah. Let's put it this way. First, again, it's something you're not meant to decipher. He tells him to seal the book. If I'm not mistaken, right? Right? Yeshotetu harabim v'tirbe hadat. Many will wander and there will be much knowledge. That's completely what's going on in my life, the way I see it. So you can say that Daniel 9 predicts it. Can you decipher it? And if you do decipher it, who's to say that that is actually the case? Because you're looking at it through a specific lens. And these are all, again, things that were canonized. Many, many prophets stood for the children of Israel and the nations. And most of them were for a generation and were there for that generation, for the kingdom, for the people. And they were gone. And a few prophets were canonized and collected. There was no commandment to write down the prophets' prophecies. There was no commandment to write the scrolls or the Psalms. But it was done and it was canonized, right, in the 24 books of the Bible, of the Hebrew Bible, which means that it's something that we can learn from. These ideas that were canonized, it's because they also have a spiritual and metaphysical meaning for us here and now. We are supposed to learn from them, not use them for predictions. Because the prophets prophesied, and even those prophets, Jeremiah and Ezekiel and all the rest, they wrote down specific prophecies, not all the prophecies they ever made. In some cases, perhaps it is, but by and large, that wasn't the case. But the people of the Great Assembly, Anshe Knesset HaGedolah, they chose to leave this out and keep this in. And I must look at it through that lens of there is wisdom here. There's wisdom here that we can glean, with our own experience. And so you are looking at it through your lens. And if you do decipher it, I'd like to believe that I would still aim to live life as if the end is coming. Because even if Messiah is arriving way then or in 5 minutes, I'm here now. That's what it comes down to. I'm here now. Perhaps egocentric and solipsistic, but I'm here now. Predictions, they're interesting as like a little spice on top of a chidush or a dvar Torah. It's nice if you can, like with gematria. It's nice if you can sew it in, in the beginning or the end to add it or to have a supplement with a gematria, with a numerical value, with a kind of different. But predictions, they're not for me. Anyway, but what does it mean to you, Robert, that Daniel 9 predicts the coming of the Messiah? What does it mean? Does it mean, well, let me know in the comments. What does it mean to you? Robert, oh wait, speedrunner. Okay, I have to disagree, says Taylor. Isaiah 46:10 goes against the rabbinic Talmud quote. Hang on a second. JPS Tanakh. Okay. 46, Isaiah, Yeshayahu, Memvav. Hang on a sec. Oh, did I lose it? No, 10. Okay. Declaring the end from the beginning, Magid Mereshit Acharit, right? And from ancient times, things that are not yet done. Saying, my counsel shall stand, and all my pleasure will I do. Here's the thing. In the Tree of Life, in the 10 Sfirot, we have crown and kingdom, Keter Malchut. And there's a line that runs from top to bottom. And the Malchut, right, I've mentioned top to bottom, bottom to top. There are 10 Sfirot within the 10 Sfirot, meaning every Sfira, every divine emanation or revelation in the Tree of Life, from crown to kingdom, also has 10 inside of it. And it draws different energies in order to create different outcomes for life here for those who are living. And when it says Magid Mereshit Acharit, it's the idea that of top to bottom, bottom to top. Keter Malchut, crown and kingdom. The other Sfirot do not speak of anything kingly. It's those two. It's crown and kingdom. And speaking of the Tikkunei Zohar, right? Keter Elyon ihu Keter Malchut. Keter Elyon. The Elijah in the Zohar says that the highest crown is the crown of the kingdom. Keter Elyon ihu Keter Malchut. That line that runs through what's called Rachamim, it's translated as mercy, but it's more like balance. It's not like I like to say. It's not a little kitten. I want to pet it, and it's not that type of mercy. Rachamim means a middle, from crown to kingdom. And there is a chain that goes on to no end, pretty much. Something infinite, if you will. Very fitting. But we can perceive it in 10. And this idea of declaring the end from the beginning means that Keter and Malchut are connected with the line that runs from top to bottom. And if you look in the Tree of Life, you'll see that at the end, right, the top is a segolta and the bottom is a segol. And then it kind of flips. And the end becomes the beginning, from bottom to top, where we can act, here. From ancient times, things that are not yet done. What is inside of Keter, which is unknown, that will eventually become known. That's what eating from the Tree of Life is all about, from the fruit of the Tree of Life. There are certain things that are hidden. There's Reisha Delait Yada, the head that is not even aware of itself. Speaking of different ways to understand the Zohar, the My counsel shall stand, and all my pleasure I will do, meaning there's a chain from crown to kingdom, but everything that exists already existed in a primordial, if you will, form. Not rudimentary, concentrated, highly concentrated, fully formed, if you will, the potential, the possibility of the 10 Sfirot. And that's what Magid Mirashit Acharit means, at least according to some traditions. That we have free will, but there is a kind of determinism to the 10 Sfirot. And God will redeem, right, and the cycle will continue. Good night, my dear. Sweet dreams. Until we partake of the fruit of the tree of life. I don't know if we're supposed to complete a cycle, break a cycle, that's not for me to know. But to eat from the fruit of the tree of life, to have that Shabbos, that Edenic seventh day that never happened. And all my pleasure I will do. The idea of keter corresponds to will, ratzon. And the more Lurianic Kabbalah and Ashlag afterwards, they speak of this idea of keter being the will to benefit for the sake, right, of to make others benefit. And all my pleasure I will do. It's based on verses like this that is the idea, partly. I hope that made sense now. See, I'm not a Kabbalist, right? I'm a student of the Tree of Life. So you'll forgive me if I wander and you'll forgive me if I rant, please. Let's see if there are questions in the questions area. Nope, nothing there. Cool. We keep going with the chat. Boop. Okay. Now you say that Isaiah 46:10 goes against the Rabbinic Talmud quote. It could very well be. I mean, I quoted the Talmud a couple of times. Can you say which one it was? If you can, I'll be grateful. Because it's already, I've been on for 42 minutes. Okay, let's continue. Lo oken, Robert Harrison. Lo oken, what do you mean? That's yes or no? Or no or yes, what do you mean? Taylor 26 says, no, the Dead Sea Scrolls have announced the end, when to expect the Messiah. Right, there have been many who have tried to calculate the end time, right, the Messianic age. Whether it's a king or the king, I don't know. Presumably the king who will lead us into that Shabbos, to be a unified human race and to partake together in Eden from the tree of life, from the fruit of the tree of life, and from the tree itself, right? It's a fruit tree that bears fruit. It's a fruit tree that bears fruit, according to Genesis. I have BMXers, a very intriguing video about the lost tribes. I can send it to you, but 5 of them Muslim now. Exile, huh? What it does to you. BMXer says, Brad Sims forgot to mention he was on his BMX in that Taco Bell ad. Well, yeah, you said he was a BMXer. If they wouldn't use him with the BMX, I mean, that's just missing up a golden opportunity. It's very cinematic, if you shoot it right. Taylor, maybe even if you don't shoot it right. Taylor 26 says, back during the writing of the Talmud. Right, so we're talking about 1st and 2nd century, the 2nd and 3rd century of the Common Era, if I'm not mistaken, and it was sealed in the 3rd or 4th century. Back during the writing of the Talmud, it was impossible to calculate the end, but the times have changed since the writing of the Talmud. Well, what I think it is that if there were those who do know and who did know, and I'm inclined to think that there were, they simply didn't put it in the Talmud. It wasn't written down. It was simply left out. And what was left in is that, those who calculate the end, may their spirit, may they expire. Now, as for not being able to calculate the end, whether it was possible or not, I don't know enough Talmud, but I do know that there are different calculations that do exist in the Talmud and difficult mathematical problems, several, not more, maybe a handful, I think, but that are very, very advanced and precise in proportion, right, to the time, in relation to the time when it was written and canonized and sealed. So, can you explain, Taylor, on why it would be impossible? Thank you. Let me know. Zion's Nazis, all the same. You're right, it's Isa. Hello, Isa. Good to see you. Zion's Nazis, all the same. Well, I'll tell you, you're out of luck, man. I'm not a National Socialist and I haven't voted in over 20 years, so you're out of luck. Even if there was a National Socialist Party, I wouldn't vote for it. So, as for being all the same, yes, I agree. We Zion's Nazis are all the same. Zion. Robert Harrison says, Daniel 9 predicts that the Mashiach will come during the destruction of the Second Temple. How can anybody argue with the Tanakh? Everybody read it or everybody read it. Okay, let's put it this way. When it comes to things that are negative, the tradition is they don't need to come true. If there's enough good in the world, and if Israel is doing its job, or if there's if there are people in Israel doing their job, and it says in the traditions that there are 36 righteous men and 36 righteous women who are holding the world upright with their good deeds. They're called the tzaddikim nistarim, the hidden righteous. 36 of them on each, which is 72 together, and the 72 letter name of God, and and the name of God is spelled out with a yod. 72 is a very powerful number. So, as for the destruction of the temple, it didn't have to end there. It didn't have to happen like that. It's said that prophecies that are positive and that speak of redemption and solace and comfort, those will come true by definition, and the negative ones, the ones of destruction, exile, and woe, don't have to come to fruition. So it could be that the prophecies said that if the Second Temple should fall, we would be in such bad shape that the Mashiach would have to come then. But when it came actually to it, maybe there was a possibility among the people of Israel, maybe like the 36 righteous, the 72 righteous men and women holding up the world, but hidden. Maybe it was that kind of thing, where it's still on us to make it happen, and not because we are that bad, but because we are being that good. We are being that kind. We are coming together. That ushering in of Mashiach and crowning of the king and the unification of the people, when it happens organically, when we're sick of fighting and we're able to come together as Israel, as nations, as a unified human race eventually, like I said. So I could argue with it because it didn't happen. It simply didn't happen, right? If Mashiach did come, he died. That's how I hold. Okay, let's see. BMX says, by the way, Daniel is right. They've hijacked it. BMX says, I used to believe it's about the Messiah as well, but through deeper study discovered it's not. Oh, I'm sorry. So you're speaking of Daniel 9. Daniel 9 is about Koresh, Cyrus. Right, so Koresh was the Persian king who said that I received a revelation that you should go, people of Judah, kingdom of Judah, and rebuild your temple. So whoever wants to go, may go. Most of the people stayed behind. In the exile of Babylon, most stayed behind. It's, the herd keeps thinning, like it says in the Torah, that we will stay just a fraction of what we were, but the covenant holds. I'm living this right now. And the people in the destruction of the Second Temple lived it then too. And I would rather Messiah come for the better reasons than for terrible reasons. I'd rather us come together than tear each other apart. Remember to guide your privacy and abide by our community guidelines, says YouTube. All right, I'll try and do that. BMXers says, Ragnar Lothbrok. Blah, 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 blah. What are these, BMXers with dreadlocks? All right. But if Tanakh is Kodesh, holy, how can you change what the Holy Kodesh scriptures say? Because the 5 books of Moses were of more divine origin than the prophets. And the prophets are of more divine origin, if you will, than the writings. Because you must understand that Daniel prophesied on foreign soil. That's not the same thing as prophesying in the land of Zion, in the land of Israel. Ezekiel did it on the river Kvar, after he was exiled with Yoachim, with the 10,000 people of Jerusalem. And Daniel did it in Babylon as well, with Nebuchadnezzar. And it's not the same thing. The spirit of prophecy in exile is not the same spirit of prophecy that's here. There are certain revelations that are unique to Israel, to the land, geographically. You said holy. Holy means set apart. And the 3 writings, prophets, 5 books of Moses, those 3 tiers are tiers, right? They're not the same. It's a different type of revelation, right? Moses, 5 books of Moses, the Torah, spirit of prophecy, and then Ruach HaKodesh, sacred spirit or Holy Spirit or spirit of holiness, which is a lower type of prophecy. That's how I can make that distinction, because there are differences in holiness, just like there's a difference between everyday holiness and Shabbos, and between Shabbos and festivals, and between festivals and the high holidays. It's a revelation that when channeled in that specific way to that specific day, festival, high holiday, you're bringing something into creation. You're creating a connection that's unique to that time and place. And the same thing happened there. As for predictions, that's why I can say those are predictions that don't necessarily need to manifest. Because it was Ruach HaKodesh, not the same thing as prophecy, and certainly not the same thing as Torah. And in the Torah, it focuses on do your job. Okay? And if you want to crown a king, here's how you do it. Here are the laws. Let's continue. Dead will die, just what the Hebrew scriptures say also, Daniel 9:2-7. Oh, I'm sorry. If the Nach is Kodesh, who said the Moshiach will be cut off. Wait, so, okay. Look, whatever Daniel says about Messiah, it's something that, I would require more learning and more study and more research, more deep dives. But very associatively, I can look at Daniel as written in Ruach HaKodesh, right? And the reason why those prophecies, again, were canonized, where others that Daniel made, other predictions, other prophecies maybe were left out, is that I need to glean from it, not, the future, but what does it mean to me here and now? Because everything there has a meaning. Daniel, he ate this and he behaved this way and he did this, and this has meaning. And you could call it signals, you can call it Ruach HaKodesh, you can call it prophecy on foreign soil. The idea is that it's written in such a language that I would need more time, and B, I look at it as metaphor. I look at it mostly as metaphor, and I ask, where is it meeting me here? To say something about the future is also to say something about me here now. In other words, in this case, it would be, the Messiah is predicted in X amount of time. But if I get my act together, then I can do my part in ushering him in, his reign in, that much sooner. And it's up to me. That's my free will. That's my choice. That's my decision to act like that, king or no king, kingdom or no kingdom. And that is the highest thing a person can do, in the sense of to choose to be good day to day, week to week, month to month, and so on and so forth. Not that I'm there yet, make no mistake, but it's what Torah and commandments are guiding us towards. It has the good and the bad, and it says, choose the good, choose life, choose to be a blessing. Right? Like the promise Abraham got. Choose to be that which is considered a blessing in other people's lives. Be the reason why people go, well, maybe there is some sort of divine revelation going on here. That eternal love, unconditional love that people speak of. Maybe there is some of that here after all. Be the type of person who can bring that idea, that thought, if not to someone's lips, then to someone's mind. Taylor's 26 says, why are there horns at the 4 corners of the sacrificial altar? What do the horns represent? Well, first, you would put, depending on the sacrifice, you would put different things in different locations. The 4 corners, the tabernacle and the temple, by and large, represent Malchut, right? The divine feminine presence and the final Sphira. And where it bounces back up, right? From top to bottom, from bottom to top. And it's where we can act, here, with offerings, right? Whether it's animals or plants or water or wine or prayer. And the Kohanim would walk on the copper altar, right? The large one was for the sacrificial animals and such, and they would put the blood, throw the blood against the wall. It had a top half and a bottom half. It had a line of, what is it? Not red ruby. What was it? It was maybe just a red stone. I don't know which. Cutting it in half, so to speak. And there was a ramp leading up to it, and the Kohanim would be walking around there. There was room there for, I don't know what it would be, 5 or 6 people to be comfortable and move around, because they had to move organs from one place to the other, so they will be burn well. The burnt offerings continue to burn all night, so they need to sometimes move them around. And there are different things that are done on a daily basis at sunrise, or right before they light the menorah at the end. Okay, let's see. So what do the horns represent? Well, again, the 4 corners represent, you have the 4 different elements and the 4-letter name of God and that whole thing, and that connects to Malchut. It's different ways of channeling divine revelation into the world, of making new connections, right, between the male and female presence. And it's said that mother and father are always in union, but the bride and groom, the groom and bride, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And we see this also in the Torah, where a married Hebrew man, when his woman is menstruating, there's a distance there. And then from unclean, right, ritually unclean, she becomes ritually clean, and then the closeness resumes. It's the way of nature, right? Ebb and flow. And we are in a world here of good and evil and of nature, and so we worship in that way as well. So the burnt offerings and malchut and bringing it all back. The burnt offerings were ones, let's say, where we had no pleasure in them. We didn't get the meat, right? The priest, rather, or the person who brought the sacrifice did not get the meat. It's all burnt up, right? May that part of me that needs to burn completely away. Let that happen. The parts of me, right? So it's basically when we're watching the priests on the altar, the different sacrifices, you can think of it as barbaric, practically speaking, but spiritually speaking and mentally speaking, the people who were there, it represented, what do I need to do here in my life in order to make things better for myself and for others? Making those connections, the priests and the people who brought the offerings, or if they were just the regular ongoing offerings day and evening. But basically it was the places where the priests could do this or that. Those are the horns. Those are the corners, the zaviot or the pinot. Robert says, by the way, I haven't learned the Mishnah of Zvachim in quite a while, since the Netherlands. So, and even then I didn't finish the whole thing, and I really should. So I'm a little rusty on what they represent. Practically speaking, the ritual worship that is connected to the corners escapes me right now. And I don't think I've ever learned specifically what the 4 corners of the altar represent. But I do know that the ritual worship pertains to Malchut and to, obviously, things that we do here in this world. And we use things of this world, right? Animal, vegetable, mineral. And by mineral, I mean, right, the stones, let's say, on the high priest's breastplate. Robert Harrison says, all of God's words is Holy Torah, or Tanakh. So think they know who the Tanakh points to many, many times, and who fulfilled Tanakh prophecies, so they try to twist it or lie their way out. All of God's words is Holy Torah. When there is a divine revelation of speech, I'm inclined to agree, but once again, it's through the lens of he who receives it, and the prophecy in Israel and the prophecy on foreign soil is not the same thing. So, I'm not meaning to twist it or lie. I simply mean that as far as the Torah is concerned, and the Bible, the Hebrew Bible at large, while we are always in an ongoing state of redemption on a personal level, ideally, on a global level, ideally, we're not quite there yet because we are still set apart, the Hebrews and the nations. And Mashiach, the final one, and Christians can claim it's the second coming of Jesus. They can claim whatever they want. That's all good. That Mashiach has not arrived yet. We have not crowned him yet. So if you're talking about somebody who the people of Israel have not crowned their king, right? And I've said this many times. He simply has not been anointed yet or crowned. We have a sovereignty here in the state of Israel, partial, but there is no kingdom, meaning that the Messiah is not currently reigning. There are potential messiahs right now at this very moment, some that are claiming it and some that are hidden. To some it's yet to be revealed that they are potential messiahs. They haven't revealed. But he hasn't been crowned yet. That's what it comes down to. Also, you know what I say, we can bypass the temple and we can even bypass the king. If we get our act together, we're able to pass all of that, and there will be no need for animal sacrifice, and there will be no need for war to be waged. We'll be able to just, pass go and collect $200. Make love, not war, says Peace and Coffee. Lu Yehi, may it be. Now, so I'm sorry, Taylor, it's not a good answer. I don't know enough about it. But man, I sure can talk my ear. I sure can talk your ears off about it. Even so, it makes me wonder: did I say anything that's worthwhile? It's now 11 p.m. Maybe it's time to say goodbye. But I want to continue. Hey, I'll go to the end of the chat now, so you can tell me if I'm starting to ramble. Someone tell me, dude, just get off. You're done. Okay, let's see. BMXers, or maybe I'll get a second wind. Because I love doing this. I genuinely appreciate all you people who are here. I have 9 people here right now, 10 people here right now, and 4 likes, and I genuinely appreciate it. It's so much fun to engage with you good people. Okay, Taylor26 says... No, wait, where were we? Okay, a BMXer says, yep, he can do a 540 flat on flat ground, even for, and especially for BMXers who knows how difficult that would be. It's super amazing. There are some people who can do truly spectacular things. Hang on, I'm going to do this. There are people in this world who have some skill. There are people in this world who have so much skill. Some people have so much skill in their pinky finger that I could never touch. It's astounding. Okay, Taylor26. I go with the academic view of Daniel. That the events described in Daniel 11 concern the 160 BC and Antiochus IV, right? The Hellenistic... Lucidian, whatever it is. And Daniel 11:140 concerned historical events, but verses 41 through 45 did not happen. Okay, so you know what? Taylor agrees. There are certain things that either haven't happened or will not happen. So I guess I'm not the only one who thinks that. All right, let's keep going. BMXer says he's like the champion of the BMXers with dreadlocks community. He's the only one I know of who can do that, and other things I know of. Speedrunner. I'm not sure what that's for, but I enjoy it nonetheless to see that little emoji. Let me tell you a quick story. When I was in the cast lead operation, no, not cast lead, what was it? Protective Edge, 10 years ago, in 2014, I was on the Gazan border for a few weeks. And at 1 or 2 points during that, we sent our uniform to be laundered. I wrote a note with my name on it, and they kept it with the stuff, so they'll be able to pair it back, right? It has my name on it, and they do it together, and it's... So a note with my name on it in one of the pockets. I don't know what the system is at the laundromat, but so I wrote my name. And when the clothes came back a day or 2 later, or 3 days later, whenever it was, on the note where I had written my name, there was a little heart that someone added to it. And it's like that little thing that stays with me, that I draw so much from. It's such a little gesture. But I seriously remember it. I wrote a poem about it at the time. So this little emoji, it says a lot, and I appreciate it. Right? A picture's worth 1,000 words. Robert says, Proverbs 30, verse 4 has 7 questions. The answer to the first 6 is only God. I'll take a question that maybe is not about God for 1,000, Alex. Taylor says, why are there so many references to the nostrils of God in the Torah? Because the nostrils are twofold. There are 2 of them. There's af, which is wrath, right? It's af v'chema. There are 4 different elements, let's say, that correspond in the negative, that correspond to the 4-letter name of God. And the names are ones which Ezekiel sees when the sky opens and he sees the positive and the negative there of the Merkava, if you will. And the nostrils are where you draw breath from. And it says, Vayipach be'apav nishmat chayim, the breath of life in the nostrils, right? In creation, in Genesis. The nostrils and the breath and wrath, or right, serenity, or the calming down, it depends on the breath, and it can go in one way or another. The reference to nostrils in the Torah is many times wrath, anger, vengeance. The left hand, what's called din kashe, the hard judgment, because there's hard judgment and there's soft judgment, and that af comes from the hard judgment that you need to go up against and account for with being extra chesed, extra right hand, extra giving. Right, to go up with that and to bring life. Because part of the reason why God gets angry so much in the 5 books of Moses is so Moses will be able to take the bait and discover new ways of bringing back balance from the left hand, from the hard judgment. Moshe says, no, God, don't do that. They'll say, why'd you do that? You just killed them in the desert. No, don't do that. Moshe is learning along with us how when God gets angry, because, God, I don't know God. It's a revelation of anger that we call af, or chema, or kas, right? Anger, wrath, or vengeance. And it's a calling. Look, some of it is completely hard and irrevocably terrible, because that's the nature of the world, good and bad. Random things happen to good people all the time, and it's part of the chaotic element of the world, being a natural world. But if we, in the Torah, speak of nostrils and of af, and that, right, Allah Ashan Bapi, there's a flame, right? There's smoke, there's anger. And Moshe is then called to bring things back to balance, and in doing so, teach us how to do it. Because again, the Torah isn't just, it's an ancient text which is supposed to speak to me in the here and now. And in that way it does. So af represents, right, the left side, and wrath and anger, and how we are to bring things back to balance. Even though we can't always do it, speaking of destruction of the temple, right, in the book of Yirmiyahu, if I'm not mistaken, where it says, and the book of Kings for that matter, where it said, you know what, it wasn't enough, even though a few good righteous kings did stand, it was not enough to overturn things, and then the temple was destroyed. Kings like Yoshiyahu, kings like Asa, kings like Chizkiyahu, it just wasn't enough. We were in pretty bad shape. Let's continue. Proverbs 30 is about Shlomo, aka Solomon, says BMXers. Taylor says, Leviticus chapter 3, only God's altar consumes the fat of the altar, but Jews are not allowed, right, the chelev, what's called chelev, to eat the fat of the animal. Symbolic meaning of this? The chelev is considered the best part. The fat of the animal, right, like the phrase, the fat of the land, it's that best offering. That's why we always put it on the altar. Because like Abel, who brought the best, what did he bring? The firstborn of his flock and their fat, and that revelation of God found it pleasing. So in that same way, that's the symbolic meaning of it's the best that I can offer. And let's hope that I, in turn, can learn from this and be the best I can be. I'm giving you the best, so you could help me become the best. Love you, HN, meaning the rabbis, not HN. Twist. You're not. Let's see, right? Corn twist. I do that occasionally when it says twist. Meaning the rabbis, not HN. What do you mean, meaning the rabbis? I'm not sure what you mean. Are you meaning that about what you said before with the 7 questions, or I'm not sure. BMXers, peace and coffee. Do you believe in self-defense? That's a good question. People, do you study any kind of martial art or self-defense? Yell it out so the whole cinema can hear you. And can someone tell me that reference? Okay, let's continue here. Say skibbity rizzy. Hey Ridge, how you doing? Skibbity riz, skibbity rizzy, skibbity toilet, skibbity doodah, skedaddle. Well, you don't have to skedaddle, obviously. Shalom motek. Hello, honey. Hello, darling. Hello, sweetie. That's kind of what that means. Motek means sweet one. Jewish people. Truth. Hello, truth. Jewish people know Prophet Muhammad is the last and final prophet, but because of the arrogant, they don't accept him as they should. Okay, it could very well be. Arrogance is not the best virtue. You should have just a tiny bit of it, just enough so you can stand up for yourself, but not more. And if that's really the case, and Muhammad is the last prophet, and the final word is the Quran, and we're just being arrogant, well, I hope God circumcises my heart and my spirit, and I will be no longer stiff-necked, and may we all be able to maybe riz our way with God into revealing, as a unified human race, and not this prophet or that prophet, not this book or that book. We won't need prophets, we won't need books. Everybody will know me, God said through the prophet. I will pour my spirit upon all flesh. They won't need to ask, where is God? They will know, right? There'll be a connection. Taylor 26 says, why is the firstborn better than the younger sibling? Like, why exactly? Why exactly? Well, look, if it's after the plague of the firstborn, let's put it this way. The firstborn is set apart. It's true in animals, and it's true in fruit, and it's true in people, insofar as the Torah is concerned. And it's because there was a fundamental shift before and after. The idea of bearing fruit is in many ways going back to original creation and Eden on a lower scale, on a smaller scale. Right? It's not a fruit tree bearing fruit. It's a tree that bears fruit. And that's what it does here, at least until we partake of the fruit of the tree of life. And the first represents that place where the connection came to fruition. Just like, and this is very, very, very different, just like, I'm thinking of virginity, right? I'm thinking of when a couple who are both virgins and when they have the union, right? And when they make love for the first time. And that's a fundamental shift. And in the same way, the firstborn, I think, it represents that initial, even if many, many came after it, the firstborn is that initial revelation. And it's why it's set apart, and the firstborn of the Israelites were set apart, but then it went to the tribe of Levi. The firstborn, well, that's what I think of it. I'm not going to go any deeper than that. Okay, so Ridge, I hope I satisfied your, I hope I satisfied you with that skibbity rizzy. Nitzarem, back. I give my team a break every hour. Hey, that's nice. BMX, can you serve in the IDF even if you don't have Israeli citizenship? I think you may be able to volunteer, but not serve a proper term. So you can volunteer, I think, but I'm not sure if you can serve, but I have no idea. Bloodnose says my ears are a sponge. Well, and my ears are a sponge cake. I want to think a bit more about the firstborn there. I want to think about that more. Okay, let's continue with the chat from yesterday. I missed a few things until... Oh, wait. First, let's see if we have any questions in the Q&A. Nope, no questions right now. Let's go back to that chat. And back to yesterday, right? It was yesterday? Yeah, Tuesday, yesterday. Okay. So, Mahosh Trahosh said, Manish, what's up? Or sup? Thanks for the stream, said Speedrunner. I'm really sensitive about people calling me rando, says Ariel. Oh, wait, so I'm sorry, I started too late. What's going on? Okay, so Sneezer said, all you take with you eventually is the love you gave, right? Because I said that according to tradition, all you take with you is Torah, commandments, and good deeds. If I recall, that's what prompted that. At least you can see the possibility a lot of blue pills can't. Well, I'm not sure if that relates to the previous sentence or not. Bloodnose said, God's Spirit is here with us in this discussion. That's nice, and I'm inclined to agree, because even though I may not merit it, the group can. God's Spirit is here with us in this discussion. Jesus is fun for jest, said Sneezer. Jesus is Spanish-Latin derivation. Yes, it is. Bloodnose said, I bet Jesus looked a lot like you, Hebrew Nazarite. Could be, or maybe he was a blue-eyed blonde. Talmud says Pantera, son of a Roman. Pantera, now that's a good band. Their 90s work particularly, and I've mentioned it in the past, right? Far Beyond Driven and Cowboys from Hell and Vulgar Display of Power. Ooh, I haven't been up to what they've been doing recently. But oh man, so good. Sneezer said, but then Jesus transfigured white apparently. I won't describe in what state I met him to avoid fraudulent claims. So I'm assuming that at the time, Sneezer, you were talking about the revelation you had, or a revelation you had. Ha says Am Yisrael Chai, or said Am Yisrael Chai. Yes, indeed, Am Yisrael Chai. The people of Israel live. Noam Boo, BMXers. Hey Noam, how you doing? BMXers, yes, you can. Okay, good. So it's good to know. So you can. BMXers with dreadlocks says Proverbs 34 is written about Shlomo. Yeah, you already said that. I think I mentioned it. I think you said it earlier. So wait, Noam. Hi, Noam. You can serve without Israeli citizenship, but is it Sherut Sadir? Is it proper conscription, right? Is it 34 months, 36 months? Wait, what am I talking about? Of course you can. People do it all the time, and they come from they come here, they study in yeshiva, and they're soldiers, but they're not citizens. They're toshavim, right? Residents, but not soldiers. So maybe I did know that. But either way, thank you for clarifying. I'll try and remember that people who don't have Israeli citizenship can still serve the proper term. Okay, back to the chat here. Sneezer said, untrue. A great many unbodied souls, right? So we were talking about the soul, the nefesh. We were talking about ibur. A great many unbodied souls perform miracles through me. I've saved countless lives in my nearing 7 years. Okay, that's still working through you. So what's untrue? Something I said at the time? Truth, and it's highly discouraged. Okay, see, it's the chat that I can't quite get because the reference is lost on me because it's from yesterday. Got to be careful you don't attach yourself to misunderstandings. I agree. Right, what did Bob Marley sing? Because only a fool lean upon his own misunderstanding. And, well, King Shlomo said the same thing in Proverbs. Which humans are particularly pitiful at? Yeah, you know what? I'm trying to not attach myself to too much misunderstanding. Some of it may be inevitable and unavoidable, because I'm very flawed, and there's always more to learn. And so, yeah, I'm definitely pitiful at not attaching myself to misunderstandings. There are some things that become like instantiated in you and are difficult. They're difficult to let go of. And it could be understandings like in an epistemological sense, or it can be an understanding which translates to facts on the ground and actuality in how you conduct yourself. But yeah, Luyehi, may it be so. Paula said, just got home and how I love being home. Just thinking how home is like a haven. It certainly is. When it's a good home, and that's obviously relative and subjective, but when it's a good home, to come into home, right, to get back home after a long day or a short day, it can be such a blessing. And if you're, let's say, in a fight or in a negative mood, or the home is like in disarray, if not necessarily physically, when there's fights and bad vibes, it can be difficult to come home. So I love it that you are, at least right now, at least at the time, Paula, yesterday, considered it a haven. May it always be so. May it be the place that you can escape to when the world is being a pain in your ass. It's part of what I love about marriage, by the way. It's, somebody has your back. That's so much. Yay, Paula is home safe, said Sneezer. Shalom, said Ezra. I missed Ezra last night. I think you missed about 2 minutes of chats, probably too much chatting. My bad, said Sneezer. You might want to consider using StreamYard for managing chat. Here's the thing. StreamYard is what got me deleted, is what got me kicked off, deleted. My channel, my previous channel was removed. I was using Stream Chat and somebody joined the video chat. And sure, you could say you can manage the chat, but not open the video chat to others. But it would be just one step closer to doing so, and I don't think I'm quite there yet. I only recently just started broadcasting again daily, and I want to do it here. And even though it might come at your good people's expense for now, I don't know, there's something about StreamYard. I should go back to StreamYard. It was fun. It was a nice interface. It had a lovely visual interface, not just on the back end, not just on the user, the creator's end. Paula said Robert is still in the truck watching. Everybody tell Robert to come inside. Robert, man, go with your woman. Don't waste your time with me. Go be with your woman in your home. Caesar says to Paula, the difference between heaven and hell is perceptual. We're always in both. Cling to hate to burn, or don't, and feel the love all around, as it seems you have. When you understand, said Sneezer, that you return first as those you've hated, so speaking of something else and not that continuation of that, then as those you've loved, you work to make the lives of others better. Let's read that again, because I thought it was in connection to the previous sentence where he spoke of the heaven and hell being perceptual. And then he said, it does have to do with it, but not a direct flow. He said, when you understand that you return first as those you've hated, then as those you've loved, you work to make the lives of others better. Okay. Again, I'm not sure of the context, unfortunately. And he said then, I can go with that, quoting me at the time, most of what you can't go with is misunderstandings. I know. Most of what I can't go with is misunderstandings, or the reason why I can't go with it is because of my misunderstanding. Problem with ascribing a story as the highest truth, perspectives of it change and grow. You know what? I agree with that completely. I agree. Wait, you know what? I'll turn this here. I want to be like this. Okay. When you say that a story is the highest truth, perspectives of it change and grow. I agree. That's why I'm for pillars. I don't seek perfection, right? Like the Tao Te Ching says, he says that a person of the Tao, right, the sage, he doesn't seek perfection. He goes with his principles. And that's what I've evolved to be, not a man of Tao, not a Taoist monk or follower in any Taoist way, if you will, but in my own Hebrew way. It's those pillars that I've put in the ground and that I walk with, that I cling to, that I cleave to, at least most of the time, because, I don't speak in absolutes. And that highest truth is something that does change and grow in the sense of the story that we tell ourselves, because we go through different experiences and we learn and we become wiser. And we fall and we fail and we break and we rise up like a phoenix and we go through all this stuff and our lenses keep changing, right? But we can see where we're going and we can hold on to things on the way. So even though the story may shift and change and mutate, if you stick those pillars in the ground and you say, that's my highest truth, and you can argue over the subjectivity, objectivity of truth, my truth, your truth, the truth as you perceive it, right over there. And you choose your pillars and you go with them. So there is a problem, I suppose, with that. But I would like to think that you can navigate it, even if it's difficult. You can navigate it, right? If you have the way, if you have the way to get that done. Let's continue here in the chat. Let's see if there's anything here in the chat, in the current chat. Yes. Hello, y'all. Eiler, hello. BMXer says there's no place like home. Yes, indeed. Home is our very own planet, says Bloodnose. Well said, well put. Radar says, can be the cost of this? It's quite reasonable. What can't be the cost of this? It's quite reasonable? I'm not sure what you mean. Am I misunderstanding somebody? Because you know what? I might be forgetting what I was saying before right now, which probably means I need to say goodbye. It's almost been an hour and a half. Wait, I'll try one more time. Can't be the cost of this. It's quite reasonable. All right, I'm not sure what that refers to, but someone please tell me. Either it completely slipped out of my mind and I had like a brain fart and it just exited, or it's like a non sequitur of some kind. I don't know. I'm not making the connection, which means I am tired, and I think I'm going to say goodbye. But I love this. All right, a couple more questions, and I won't ramble too much. A couple more comments in the chat, I mean, from yesterday. Speedrunner said, and of course, don't forget the 4 dessert pastries: donut, cupcake, Danish, and brownie. Yes, yes. 4 letters, 4 elements, and 4 dessert pastries. Many Christians, said Sneezer, have the same blindness. Bloodnose said, right, speaking of something else, Bloodnose said, might the 4th, 4 is the number for death, be the fallen angel being? So, okay, so you were talking about Daniel and the people in the furnace and the Son of God, the 4th. Radar Shadow said, I hate it when it does that. Radar Shadow, somebody help me. Somebody help me. What, simplify it for me. It's late and I'm tired. Simplify it for me. People, what is Radar Shadow trying to say? Radar, what are you trying to say? Thank you for the show, said Speedrunner. Thank you for being here. Okay, and said Speedrunner said thank you for the show. I will take that as a sign that I will say goodbye. Oh, I appreciate every single one of you. Like I said, every sub, every like, every chat, every blip, everything, every pearl of wisdom, every nugget of information. Sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other, but some things I retain, and I deeply appreciate the engagement, the conversation, expanding our horizons, right? Discussing things that ideally, right, come down to fruition here in this world, right? We are here now doing this. People who are watching it later or not live, as well. And you could be doing anything else right now, pretty much, but you're doing this. And I'm so grateful for the vote of confidence that you have in me, that you watch my blah, blah, blahs. It means a lot to me, and I don't take it for granted. I deeply appreciate it. Oh, did Radar answer? Brain farts, LOL. Can you give me a high five? Yes, high five. So wait, Bernard, I must ask, have you been here this entire time, or are you popping in and out? And if so, what's going on with you? Either leave a comment right afterwards or let me know, because I'm wondering what your plan is and if you will DM me. All right, but yeah, high five. Good night from Jerusalem. God willing, I will see you tomorrow, 10 p.m. Jerusalem time, Israel time, for another chat, another discussion, continuing the dialogue, maybe finishing yesterday's chat, which I haven't yet. But I want to give you guys everything I can, 110%. And if I'm getting too tired, you'll have to forgive me. So good night from Jerusalem. God bless. Peace, love, positivity,